All right, Shalom. All praise goes to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakah Kwadash. The bonus goes into the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that have taught me the truth. And much love and peace and blessings goes out to all you hopeful elect brothers that are teaching the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai in truth and sincerely. I want to do this lesson real quick, just pretty much highlighting, for the, newcomers to the faith out there, and even confirming for you brothers and sisters that already know this is the fact that the world that and the system that we currently live in, is ruled by satanic elites that don't worship the Lord. You see, because there's a veil over the true beliefs of the rulers of this world, where majority of them, especially the European powers, which are really Edomites who control the world, will have you think that they're Christian when they're not. Some of them even dive into atheism, but the true power that the real shakers and movers of this world, be it the international bankers and their cohorts and their direct minions, like the royal family, they all worship Satan, okay? Because the royal family in Great Britain, right, are nothing but the face of Edomite supremacy on the earth, and they've been used as a front for the past 100+ years to portray that image of Edomite royalty and class to the masses, while these people behind the scenes, they're really blood drinkers and murderers and foul souls, okay? And it peeks through with this whole ordeal with the Queen's death, because there are many satanic references and rituals that occurred at her funeral, and the processions that followed after her dying, that shows you what she was involved in, okay? Because the Queen and her whole entire family, her sons, her father, her grandchildren, they're all a part of the craft. Behind closed scenes, they worship Satan. They partake in child sacrifice. They partake in child sex magic, okay? They partake in all these different things, okay? So this is from here at theguardian.com. What was the wand of office broken at the Queen's funeral? So there was a wand that was broken directly above the Queen's casket here at her funeral, and it was one man who was considered her chamberlain, or I should say had the office of chamberlain, who broke his wand in front of her casket. It says here, one of the final ceremonial acts. You're gonna have to excuse my voice because I'm a bit nasally. All of a sudden when I do this video, my snot decided to rush to my nose and making me sound like Steve Urkel, but it's all good. It says, one of the final ceremonial acts of the day was Lord Chamberlain breaking the wand, which was buried with the late monarch. On a day laden with ceremony and symbolism, one of the stranger moments of the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II was a ceremony known as the breaking of the wand, you see? And if all you have to do is go to do a Google search on broken wand ceremony, and you will see what this goes back to. This is straight out of Wikipedia. Broken wand ceremony is a ritual performed at or shortly before the funeral of a magician, in which a wand, either the wand which the magician used in performances or a ceremonial one, is broken, indicating that with the magician's death, the wand has lost its magic. You see that? And they claim that this ceremony goes back to Harry Houdini in 1926. Well, hey, what's this all about? Well, the royal family is doing this because there's deeper symbolism behind this, which I'm sure you could do your research on it, but this is just the overt stuff I could go into without going super deep, because it's not necessary. You could just put these dots together to see what these people are about. And all these rituals going down behind this woman's funeral, the so-called queen, shows you that the elites are shifting to make major moves, because all of a sudden they decide to publicize this woman's death, which, I mean, her death could have occurred naturally. I mean, who knows? But, brothers have been speculating through the spirit, and even myself believe that this was some type of, that her death has been publicized, or she may have even been sacrificed to her own god or deity at her age to provide some sort of energy towards, you know, the plans that and the agenda that they have, which is the New World Order, which ultimately boils down to them a shift in the monetary system and introducing that mark of the beast. All right, and here just recently, I mean, her funeral goes back about a week ago. Okay, September 21st. But what you call it? What happened? Now you just had word of the British pound being at its lowest value in over almost 40 years. Okay, it's at an almost 40-year low. The British pound is. All right, and just analyzing the timing of all this, how these markets are crashing and so forth. It's not as if for the next 40 years the pound or any form of currency is going to gradually rise, because look, the Israelites are waking up. Time is short on the part of these elites. So that's why they're working and they're moving crafty. And all this means is that we're very close to being delivered. We're very close to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai setting his people up. Okay? We're not going to have to wait 40 years and go through all these cycles and increments of Esau being in control and experiencing turmoil, and he introduces no thing. Nah. We believe this is it for this guy, man. So it says the Queen, Denmark's Queen Margaret II tests positive to C19 after attending funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. But you see here, I believe this was the church she was allegedly buried at, right? But they have this checkerboard floor, which goes into duality, the duality of Freemasonry. And there are many Freemasons which you could quote that tell you Freemasonry is witchcraft. Okay? Not to mention, okay, you hear at Stonehenge, you had a gun salute tribute fired at Stonehenge over this woman. Okay? So, I mean, come on, this is blatant. And if you understand the origins of Stonehenge, this was a ritualistic Stonehenge. Most people think of Stonehenge, it's a, monolithic structure that's, was mysteriously constructed. But the deeper mystery behind that place is that there were druids and believers of idolatry and false gods, not of the scriptures, right? Not Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that practiced their occult rituals at Stonehenge. So you got all this information compiled in itself about this woman. The fact that you had this at Stonehenge, this gun salute at Stonehenge, checkerboard floors at the, I believe, or whatever you want to call this place, a chapel or church, I'm not sure, where she was, some type of ceremony was held for her. And then you have the breaking of the wand ceremony, breaking of the wand ritual, in other words. And also you had the goat, okay, which led one of the bands of Welsh soldiers that performed music at her funeral. And we all know this goat goes back to the goat of Mendes, which was an ancient Egyptian god known as Benebdejet, where the Knights Templar got their inspiration for Baphomet. All right, and that level of worship is carried on all the way today with the Edomites. This is their true god. Because I just had this picture, it was just pulled up. Salakia, man. I get, for some reason, this website is bugging a bit, so I might not be able to zoom in. I guess they just removed that picture. But here, even here, you have this image of that checkerboard floor. And as we can see, her casket, uh, damn, this website is so buggy. Basically her casket was placed there in the area where that checkerboard floor is at. This website is bugged out, man. You have to excuse me for that. But I mean, there you have it. Here goes that image again with a goat led this procession of some type of Welsh band, which the original Welsh, for that matter, the original British crown, the original English, all right, royalty, the original English people of the Middle Ages, the original Scottish of the Middle Ages, the original Irish of the Middle Ages were all so-called black people, okay? It wasn't until the late Middle Ages and the Renaissance era where you had so-called white dominance of Great Britain. The Isles have historically belonged to dark-skinned people. And before you had this modern Edomite dominance of that island, you had the Romans, which invaded the British Isles. At that time, they called it Britannia. You know, of course, they would live in there mingling amongst the Britons, which were Celtic people, which were also Japhetic, had Japhetic origins, all right? But all throughout that time period and after that, you had Jake, which rose to prominence and had power in the British Isles. And even the Emperor Hadrian, which was one of the late Roman emperors, he was a Jake. He was a so-called black man. You had so-called black, even though they called themselves Romans, they were black, so-called black centurions and high-ranking officials that were in the British Isles, okay? They even depicted that on this BBC cartoon about the Romans that were posted in Great Britain. And you had Esau heard about it, but that was true. That was of a truth. You did have dark-skinned centurions and people that called themselves Romans. But, you know, technically, the ethnic Romans, they were Edomites because they supplanted the original Japhites of Rome, which were called themselves Etruscans, okay? You know? You just check out that artwork of ancient Rome. But anyway, that's all side notes going into different information. But back to the topic at hand, those satanic rituals. Scriptures go into that. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. And that's what we wrestle against. Ultimately, it's not a physical fight. See, that's the arena which the so-called white man was looked to get us involved in. Or you black Hebrew Israelites, this, and this. But our true wrestle, what we're fighting against is the spiritual wickedness. And Esau, even though he's painted that picture about us, he's involved in the spiritual war for himself because those rulers of darkness, the reason they're called dark is because they partake in dark ceremonies, dark rituals, man. And you would be disgusted to even be figured out on what these people do. They have sex with animals and all the above. You see? So I go to 1 Corinthians 10:20. This is the last scripture I'm going to get. But I say that the things which the Gentiles, right, the royal family, elite bankers, they're all Gentiles technically. The things that the Gentiles sacrifice, which the Gentiles sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. You see, they don't sacrifice to God. In other words, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, they sacrifice it to the devils and demons that they worship in the form of idols. And that idol that they pay homage to and they, spill blood towards, give them some sort of ritualistic power, man. Some sort of energy to propel them to complete their plans. But what little do they know, like the scriptures say. Matter of fact, let's get that. Marduk. The Marduk is confounded. Matter of fact, confounded. We get some more because I just plan on getting a couple scriptures, but we can get some more. Because the scriptures go into how Baal shall be confounded. Marduk is broken. You know, these are the idols of the ancient Babylonians, but the same pertains to the modern idols of this world. They're going to be confounded too, and this is obviously who Esau Edom is. You know, he's putting his hopes and dreams in, but that's all going to come to naught. This is Jeremiah 50:1. The word of the Lord, the word that the Lord Yahweh spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations and publish and set up a standard, publish and conceal not. Right? Because it's being made obvious the fate of the nations currently. Okay. It says, say Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. So the same idols which these damn elites are trusting in and sacrificing towards, they're confounded. They're going to be broken to pieces. Because as we move forward, only Yahweh Bashim Shai's plans are going to be confirmed. Only his people are going to be rulers and, you know, and be established. Because that's ultimately what Esau is doing this for. He's doing this so he can become established, so he can have a stronghold. All right. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken into pieces. Okay. That's going into, you know, the idols being confounded because, you know, these same idols which Esau trusted are going to be destroyed. All right. They're going to be taken down by the hands of the Israelites. So all praises goes to Yahweh Bashir Al-Shai Salakia. Shalom.